Hello and welcome to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Mick Linan. This is episode 4, The Review. Today we're actually reviewing the Harlequins game that just gone by, the first game of the European Champions Cup for us. Today's episode is going to be a bit of a mixture of both the analysis of the games, but also some discussion points I want to bring up today as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about my overall opinion of the game. We'll dive into the analysis of the game events. We'll have some injury updates and post-game pool position. We'll also talk a little bit about the atmosphere of the game. And then we're going to finish off with a discussion section. And that discussion section is actually based on the 5-second use it rule. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so just the overall opinion of the game. The score was 45-28. That was to Leinster, obviously. My prediction, as per usual, way off. Well, no, I suppose not too bad for our one. I gave a prediction of 42-10. I honestly didn't see the Quins coming back at all, really. I was kind of mirroring, while giving them a chance, last season's 62-0 clean sheet. I was wrong. As I said before, I'm not a betting man, and that's probably for the best. I thought the referee and the TMO were very fair. Actually, it was a full Welsh referee pack and TMO. They were very fair. I couldn't see any real issues there. I thought they decided things quite well. They were making quick decisions. There was no real controversies. So, yeah, it was pretty good. My overall opinion on Leinster then, I just cannot see how a muted Quinn side, landed 4 tries against us. We gifted them a bonus point. We had 68% possession and then still let in 3 tries. I understand one of them was a penalty try, but it was definitely going to be a try anyway. I think our discipline and our attack has improved, but now our defence is a little bit in trouble. So, right, let's get into the analysis of the actual game. So, straight away, just like last week with the Dragons, we had a try within 4 minutes, and that was on Jordan Larmour. Quick hands, quick ruck play, cut out to the wing and scored it. Absolute beauty of a try. Unfortunately, the conversion then was missed by Prendergast, but that brought us to a nice early lead of 5 points to 0. This was short-lived for us. The Quins actually planted a try in the 11th minute. Luke Northmore getting that. Unfortunately, our defence was poor there. They again had quick hands in the ruck. There was some pick and goes right underneath the line, and then ended up with one pick and go with a dive directly over 2 of our players for the line and scored a try. I'll talk a little bit more after, but yeah, not fantastic there. That was then converted by Jared Evans, bringing them ahead of us in the first 11 minutes to 5 points to 7. Within the 16th minute then, Gary Ringrose, lovely one-handed offload by Snyman on his way down, as he usually does. Ringrose ready to go, right in the best position for it. Gets it, runs his way, smashes over the line. Perfect score. Conversion was then scored by Prendergast. Neat little conversion. Not too difficult of an angle, I must say, but look, he got it, landed it in. That brought us to 12-7. So we got that lead back then within 5 minutes after the Quins have scored. Unfortunately, that was a kind of one of our woes right after that. I'm assuming within that tackle that Snyman was in the 17th minute, right after that whole play, Snyman was actually substituted off. He walks it off, but he was clearly holding the shoulder, and hopefully he isn't too bad. I think he'd be a huge loss for us, and I think he was a huge loss for us even that early on in the game. But look, alas, within another 9-ish minutes, Jordan Larmour straight over the line again for another try. This time it was an absolute perfect crossfield kick by Prendergast. You couldn't have put it better. He kicked it just enough ahead that Larmour could make a running attempt at it. Lands the ball within, I think it was like 3 metres of the line, and then the last defender had absolutely no hope of stopping him. He just dove straight over with that ball onto the line. Perfect score. Unfortunately, in that kind of tight angle at the other side of the pitch, Prendergast did miss that conversion. But we were within a 10-point lead, so more than one score lead there, 17-7. About 9 minutes later, the Quins came back. Cassius Cleaves, again, our defence was quite poor. There was a couple of runs, couple of rucks there. They were making a bit of ground. They were still a little bit inside our 22, but then we just opened up this almighty gap for Cassius to just see a perfect straight run for him. He gets it, runs through that huge gap. He could park a bus sideways in it. There was that large of a gap, unfortunately, so there was no hope of us catching him after that. And they scored that. Conversion then was popped over by Jared Evans, so bringing us right back into a one-score game, 17 points to 14. At this moment, and I'll have to be honest, I was getting a little bit panicked. I just really couldn't understand how a team that has been absolutely gutted by the English rugby decision there to rest an awful lot of those players. Like, it really was pretty much a second team for the Quins. And I was even talking to a couple of the fans beforehand, and they were saying, I heard you were disappointed we weren't bringing all the lads over. And I was like, yeah, I actually probably was a bit disappointed. I didn't want to see the likes of, Marcus Smith and Dom Brandt playing and Cunningham South. That would have been fantastic, and I actually did predict them to be playing, and I was wondering why they were taking so long to get their team sheet out. But look, English Rugby had made the decision at that point to say, no, we're not going to let you play them against Leinster. But anyway, back to the analysis. I guess Kieran Frawley came to ease my worries a bit there. There was an overthrown line out. Frawley was at pace, came to catch it right over it, and absolutely rampaged through the last two defenders that were there for a try. It was textbook rugby. He did his best to get over those two defenders. I think he forced them into trying to get the same tackle, did a bit of a sidestep, and got over there for a try. And thankfully, then Prendergast converted that as well. So right before half time, we ended up getting a 10-point lead again. So back to 24-14. A little bit less panicked, and I must say we definitely needed that going into half time, because if it was any other way, I think we'd probably be a little bit afraid of what might happen in the second half if we didn't have those the guys who were already out there being impactful and having to bring out the subs, and yourself, the symbiosis might dampen a little bit. But anyway, so into the half time, the second half opened with a plethora of handling errors. There was scrums every couple of minutes. I had loads of time to go get some beers, go to the Jacks, like every lad that was there, which I suppose was beneficial for us, but not really for stellar rugby play. But after all that handling errors and such, the Quins got it within our 5 metres, and look, we gave them advantage a couple of times on that. We were lucky enough not to get a yellow card for those. But at the very end of that last passage of play, unfortunately, we gave away a penalty try in the 50th minute. And this was actually by Jimmy O'Brien, who kind of, he jumped up in the last pass out to the wing and kind of slapped it down forward. Look, he was the last defender. There was another player out to the wing. It was always going to be a try anyway. Unfortunately, this resulted in a yellow card for Jimmy O'Brien. So he was gone for 10 minutes then in the 50th minute. So we're down to 14 men at that point. Score then was 24-21. Right back into that one score lead for us. Not fantastic. And, I think there was a lot of head rubbing there in the crowd of what exactly was going wrong for us. The other side of the pitch then, I suppose, within the next 10 minutes, the Quins got a yellow card. Now, this was actually a team yellow. It was after multiple infringements, similar enough on in the wind side there, 5 metres and 10 metres. And Jared Evans was the guy who decided, that the ref decided, you're gone. You're the last one, you're off the pitch. So we just had gotten, I suppose, Jimmy O'Brien just to come in right after his passage play. But within that minute, from that penalty we got, from that team yellow that the Quins got, and only with 40 men on the pitch, we actually had a crossfield kick from Harry Byrne, which, in fairness, was not the best kick. Tommy Ryan actually had to run back for it. It skewed right, but in pure Tommy O'Brien fashion, runs back, gets the ball, one defender to beat, does a little lob kick right over that defender, sidesteps him, the ball just bounces beautifully back into the hands of Tommy O'Brien, and he just slams over that line. Perfect try. The crowd was sensational for that. It was beautiful rugby. That conversion was then converted by Harry Byrne. Great entrance for him. not only with the on-field or from the cross-field kick, but also to land that conversion. So again, brought us back to that 10-point gap, but 31-21. We didn't have to wait too long after that. Jack Conan on the 64th minute smashes over the line. Not many people can stop that man, I'm telling you. Standard rugby play there. It was a pick and go situation. We also had a penalty from that. Went to the line out, threw over for a maul, and he was at the back of it, and then we just slammed over for that. Perfect score. Harry Byrne then converted that as well. Got us to 38 points to 21 points. Obviously, the team is an awful lot settled now. I think we probably calmed down a little bit. The supporters, the crowd were a little bit less stunned, back to what we're used to, I suppose, in that sense. And then on the 67th minute, there was a huge roar from the younger crowd, shouting a lot of 6-7, which I've seen a lot of now, that they're even egging it on with a lot of, whoa, 6-7. No idea what it means. I'm just going to let them have it. Got a bit of a laugh. But I couldn't have timed it any better. Directly after that, just before the 68th minute, Jimmy O'Brien scores an absolute melter of a try. I suppose it was his way of apologising for the previous penalty try, but this was assisted by none other than Raiko Ioane. He actually probably could have went himself, decided to play it safe. Absolutely unreal. Passes out to Jimmy O'Brien, and he just straight over the line with that. Definitely was the best score, probably the best passage of play in the game. So I'd definitely compel anyone to go and watch that, because it was beautiful. I suppose look at that, two O'Brien brothers scoring in the same game on the same pitch. Love to see it. That was also converted by Harry Byrne. A fantastic kick by him again. He's really showing his colours there, and I think he wants that top job. He's really putting it to Prendergast. So delighted to see it for him as well. So I guess the game was over at that point. There was a good few passages of plays there, but in the 77th minute, the Quins actually came back. Oscar Beard, a consolation try, but a try nonetheless. It was actually their securing of the bonus point. They've scored 4 tries there, and that was actually converted by Jamie Benson, with the full-time score there being 45-28. Jordan Larmour was gifted, and well-deserved, the man of the match. And yeah, he deserved it. He played an absolute great game of rugby. I will say he did actually go off when he was substitute. He went off kind of limping a bit. So hopefully there's nothing in that. It's hard to tell. I didn't really. He was showing proper discomfort when it happened. He probably strained something, so which is a high chance he's not available. But yeah, that was it. That was the full analysis. As I said at the beginning, I think our defence needs to improve there, but our attacking game was well back to where it should be. The discipline, as you might have noticed as I was talking there, was also fantastic. We got very little yellow cards compared to the Dragons game. We didn't give too many penalties as well. Okay, we gave that penalty try, but you can't blame Jimmy O'Brien for trying to, at least stop that. It was always going over with him just being the last defender. But yeah, so right after this, we'll go through a bit of the injury updates, some pool positions, and yeah. Okay, so yeah, injury updates. Snyman holding his shoulder. I was reading a couple of articles there. Leo Cullen talking about what he thinks is happening. There's no official update yet on those lads. But there's 3 people there that we're probably looking at: Snyman, Larmour, and Gary Ringrose. But yeah, Snyman, like 17th minute, there's obviously something went wrong. That tackle he went down, he gave the assist on. He was holding his shoulder when he was leaving the pitch. He'll have to get some scans. I really do hope he isn't injured. He's a huge loss. And, I was just saying in the preview, we don't really expect him to be starting on these games. And hopefully I didn't put the curse on him there for that. That, of course, the one time I'm talking about him starting, he gets injured. So, oh, God. But, yeah, he's a great player. I really hope we have him for the Leicester Tigers game. Even just as an impact bench as I usually see him come on. But yeah, look, we'll look forward for those updates. Hopefully he's not too injured for that. And look, if we see him training, happy out. Larmour, on the other hand, he definitely showed some serious discomfort, like almost immediately. I'd say he's probably strained something, and nothing has really come out of the camp yet either. But I would say there's probably a higher chance of him not being available than there is Snyman. Gary Ringrose also went off the pitch. He looked like he was in a bit of discomfort, but I think even Cullen said that he wasn't really too concerned there. It just looked like, he had a bit of cramp there. So look, that would be grand. If it does a bit of cramp, we need Gary Ringrose back. Just we were missing him there for a long time, and he definitely shows. He shows his capability every time he's on the pitch. He's a fantastic player. So I'd really hate for any of those three to be missing. Hopefully they're all fine. That would be the best case scenario. But look, I'd say the highest chance there is Larmour's probably out. Yeah, so let's not all talk dreary then, injury updates and all that. Let's talk about the pool position that we're in for the European Champions Cup. So La Rochelle actually took pole position there at the top of the table. They actually have equal points with us, but they have a +2 points difference. So they've just tipped the scale there on taking the first place in Pool D, in Pool 3, sorry. Leinster, obviously, ourselves, we're in second with 5 points, just that points difference being the thing that ticked us off a little bit. Stormers are actually in third with 4 points. They failed to pick up a bonus point, but they did overcome Bayonne in their game. Harlequins are in fourth, again saved by our defence to gift them an absolute, wondrous bonus point for them. I don't think they expected to get anything out of that game, but I'd say they're going home saying, well, we got a bonus point, happy out. Bayonne then are in fifth. They lost the Stormers, as I said, and they only scored 3 tries, so they actually have 0 points. And Leicester, who I really did not think would be in last position after round 1, they are in last position with a -19 score difference. So they have no points, a -19 score difference. They lost La Rochelle, which was a bit of a shock, to be honest. I thought La Rochelle were in a bit of a slump at the moment, but clearly came back and decided, no, we're not going to lose to a non-domestic team. Look, I suppose in terms of that, we play Leicester Tigers next week. Hopefully they hold the same form, and we get our 5 points again with our bonus point. That would be the most ideal case. But yeah, so right after this break, we're just going to go talk about the atmosphere in the stadium. Yeah, cool. So I suppose the atmosphere was, kind of a mixed bag. I have to give it to the official Leinster Supporters Club again. They have to be commended for their work. Out for the Sea of Blue, they're, flying the flags, handing out some more flags for people. They were, playing, waving the flags alongside the drummers, and actually our new trumpeter, which is, great to see. I love when there's a trumpeter at rugby games. It always feels like one of those French games that we're in where they always have someone in the crowd with a trumpet. But yeah, they were there to greet the team buses, kind of let everyone know that there was an interview with James Lowe and Scott Penny upstairs in the Lansdowne RFC. And yeah, look, they do great work there, and I was helping them out on Saturday with putting the flags on the seats for the pitch, and also I was actually waving one of the big flags, so that was really nice as well. However, inside the stadium, I think is a separate issue. I think something we do have to talk about. Even in dramatic moments, the crowd around me anyway was severely quiet. There was just murmurs, there was conversations going on about random things that wasn't got to do with the game. Even in moments when we're 10, 15 metres out, we're making plays. There's no chance, there's no screaming, there's no shouting for Leinster. It's barely even denting a mark on it, I'd say, if you were to scale that, even to record it. And I don't really understand what exactly is going on there. I started the Leinster chant as we do, and look, we're all kind of bored of that a bit. I think we need to get more chants anyway. But there was 2 occasions I started that. Yeah, one of them it did carry on. That was where we were 5 metres out. Naturally, that probably would. Another time it didn't really, even though we were also 5 metres out. And it's unfortunate because it feels very corporate. It feels very polished or something, that the people that are there aren't really there to support Leinster, or they're just there because they want to go to a game rather than actually being proper supporters. And look, that's, everyone's entitled to buy your ticket. That's fair enough. If you want to do that, that's grand. But there's no real drive there, I think, by Leinster Rugby itself to get the crowd involved. I've seen in other places, I normally go to Thomond Park every year for the Christmas game against Munster, and I think they know how to do it. It feels an awful lot more loud in Thomond Park. And okay, I know you can say that the Viva, we only sell 1/3 of the seats. It's only the lower division. quite a large stadium, so any noise has to be a lot of noise. And maybe that'll be fixed when we go back to the the LA Arena. But yeah, it just feels like something needs to change here. Just something has to happen to bring us back a little bit and have a bit of camaraderie, a bit of, a few more chants, few songs, something, maybe even get some drums out or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but the atmosphere just seemed really lacking, and that has been the case for the last few games. And this was it's the Harlequins. I think a lot of people were probably coming in as I did with the preview, saying it's not really a huge game, but it's still the European Champions Cup. We should be way more enthused about this. So yeah, just let me know what you think. What do you think needs to change? Where do you see us, being in the RDA? Oh my God, in the late arena? Do you think we'll be louder there? Do you think we'll be bringing chants back into that arena? Yeah, let me know. Okay, so this is a section I kind of wanted to bring in. Maybe not every review episode, but something I wanted to kind of edge into our episodes is a discussion point. So it could be a rule, it could have been a controversial call, it could be a game that isn't Leinster rugby, it could be anything really. But today I actually want to talk about the 5-second use it rule. And we all know this rule, we've all seen it being used, but have any of us actually seen it being enforced? I definitely haven't. I don't think I've ever seen it enforced. Was probably at a non-professional level, in a semi-professional game where the referee is being assessed and he has to make sure that, they have to make sure that they're calling everything as it should be. But in professional rugby, in these games, like Leinster, like just the game gone by, there were a few occasions where the referee had called the use it, and the ball was definitely not moved within that 5 seconds. So technically they should have lost it, mind you. And I think it was especially prevalent in the Dragons game last week. I remember seeing their scrum half have the ball in the ruck. It was called to use it, and then they already had 4 people in the Caterpillar ruck, mind you, and they got another person onto the Caterpillar ruck, rolled the ball back, and then took their time and then kicked it. Like, I was counting 7 seconds. It's probably something I focus on way too much in these games, is the use it rule. But it's such a pet peeve for me. I can't understand why we can't enforce it. Like, why is it even still a rule if it's never enforced? And I was kind of thinking of ways, like, how would we even combat this, or how do we change the rule? I think I came up with 2 ideas. Let me know what you think of them. One of them was like to only allow 2 max players in a Caterpillar ruck. So you're doing your Caterpillar ruck, you have your one man who's defending the ball, you'll have one other person there which you can roll the ball back to. That would obviously make it quicker. Aside from that, I was thinking maybe reduce it down to 3 seconds. When the second the referee says use it, you've 3 seconds. That's much shorter time span. And then maybe have the referee count that out loud. So 1, 2, 3. The second hits 3, you've lost it. It's a scrum against you. Just like small things like that. I think if we're going to have a rule at all, really have to make sure that it's not just a useless one. And what's the point even shouting use it? They clearly don't speed up the play. They know, the players know that they can just sit there and roll the ball back and hold it and take a breather. I think it's most prevalent there in saying about the taking a breather. It's most prevalent when it's the defending team who are being pushed back a lot by, the other way around. The attacking team is being pushed back by a defending team. And then the attacking team will say, oh, well, look, we're getting pushed back, we're going to kick it. Let's just put a load of lads in a Caterpillar ruck there, take a quick breather. He's going to say, call it. It's grand. Everyone calm down before I kick this ball, and then make a run. And I think that's an unfair advantage then for the team that's been pushed back. And yeah, you might say, right, we should be counter-rucking then if they're doing that. But I feel like the referee is always on the side of that. Be like, yeah, I want the call to use it, so he'll use it. But yeah, look, it's never enforced. It's something I just think is an absolutely useless rule. Either enforce it. Actually, no, don't even change the rule. Just make the referee count the 5 seconds out loud. And if he makes it to the 5, then you've lost it. It's a scrum against you. Game on. I just think it's just the easiest thing to do is just count the 5 seconds. At least everyone then, especially me, who I seem to have a huge pet peeve of, I would be happy with that. Save me having to count them out for 5 seconds. Tell everyone around me, oh my god, it should be a scrum against them. But anyway, for my own sanity, referees, if you're listening to this, please count it. Please count the 5 seconds out loud. But yeah, so tell me what you think. Do you share the same passion I do about this useless 5 second rule? Do you think it should change, or do you think it's fine? Do you think it's exactly what it should be, and we shouldn't be so harsh on the folks trying to take a minute to kick the ball? Yeah, let me know. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Our next game is Leicester Tigers away. It's actually on Friday. It's in Welford Road at 8 p.m. So with that, I'll hope to have our episode out on Thursday. Hopefully the team sheets are out by then and they don't follow the same suit as the Harlequins did this time, with having it pretty much the midday before the game. But I do want to give a big shout out to the mods on the Leinster Rugby subreddit for allowing me to do a shameless self plug there with my podcast. So thanks again, folks, for that. If you haven't already, please do follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, Reddit, pretty much all the platforms. And yeah, thanks a million. See you on Thursday for Leicester Tigers preview episode. And thanks for listening. Have a good day.